Hi, this is Tim from timradney.com. In this demo, I want to talk about Azure SQL Managed Instance and a few things that are now new when you create a brand new database. So we'll get started in SQL Server Management Studio. I'll choose to create a new database, and we'll call this database Turtle, because who doesn't like turtles? We'll take a look at options, and just so that you know, compatibility level, mine is set to 150. It's modeled after my model database. So whatever the compat level set to your model is what this will default to. What I want to point out is encryption enabled through Management Studio. This is set to false. If I say OK, it's going to go and create the database Turtle, and then we'll go into the properties and take a look. Okay, the Turtle database has now been created. We take a look at properties. We go to options. And we go to the bottom and we see that encryption enabled equals true. So even though in the dialog in Management Studio it said false, it still enabled TDE on the back end in Manage Instance. So now TDE is enabled. If you need it enabled, great, it's done. You can check the box. If you don't, then you can go through here and change it to false, say OK, and then it will remove the TDE. One other thing I want to show you is Query Store. So Query Store is now enabled for all newly created databases in Managed Instance. It's still taken on the defaults of Query Store, so you can go in here and change your default size and the flush interval and all of those things. I strongly encourage you to take a look at Aaron Stelato's blog post on Query Store, and especially with 2019 with changes, so you can now have more knobs that you can configure to set Query Store on how much it can, or how many resources it can consume and those things. And Aaron also has a wonderful Pluralsight course that you should go and take a look at. But those are the two big changes. TDE is enabled by default. Now Query Store is enabled by default. So these are good things for most people. But what happens if I choose to create a new database using T-SQL? So we're going to create a new database called Turtle2. And in Turtle2, I added the statement, alter database, Turtle2, set encryption off. So I'll execute the script. And this can take a minute or so just from Management Studio going and interacting with the Azure resources. All right, only took about 20 seconds. We'll refresh my databases. We have Turtle2. We'll take a look at properties, options, and we'll scroll to the bottom, and encryption enabled is set to false. So it took the statement through T-SQL, but through Management Studio, for whatever reason, it still enabled TDE. In Query Store, again, nothing within my T-SQL statement saying on, off, it is on by default. So there you have it, a few changes with Azure SQL Managed Instance and its default behavior on newly created databases. What about if you're migrating a database using restore from URL, migrating using Database Migration Service? Those will inherit whatever your database had. So if you had TDE enabled, you have to deal with the keys there. If Query Store was not enabled, Query Store would not be enabled with that newly restored database, only newly created. Which, talking about backups, what happens if you now try to back up this newly created database that has TDE enabled? Can I still do a copy-only level backup to Azure Blob Storage? That would be a no. So the backup operation for a database with service-managed transparent data encryption is not supported on SQL Database Managed Instance. If you don't plan on leveraging copy-only backups as part of your maintenance or routine, if you're not needing to back up to URL to have monthly snapshots extending years and things like that, then not a big deal. If you do need to leverage copy-only level backups in Managed Instance and you need TDE enabled, then you're going to have to manage your own keys. If you don't need TDE enabled and you want to do copy-only level backups, well, you can turn it off. Just go into the properties and set that encryption enabled to false. So there you have it. Thanks for watching, and make sure to subscribe.